Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is the importance of having multiple exit strategies. In real estate investing, even the best laid plans can go sideways. Market shifts, buyers get cold feet, or renovation costs creep up. That's why having more than one exit strategy isn't just smart, it's essential. The most successful investors always have a backup plan or two ready to go so they never get stuck in a deal with no way out. Here are 5 reasons why every badass investor should have multiple exit strategies. Number 1, protects your investment. If your primary plan falls through, a secondary exit keeps you from taking a loss or being forced into a bad decision. Number 2, increases deal flexibility. You can pivot quickly if the market changes, giving yourself more options to profit or cut losses. Number 3, attracts more partners and lenders. Savvy partners and lenders want to see you've thought things through. They'll trust you more if you have contingency plans. Number 4, reduces stress and panic. Knowing you have options always allows you to stay calm and make smart moves even when surprises pop up. And number 5, maximizes profit potential. Sometimes your backup plan turns out to be even more profitable than your original idea. Don't miss out by thinking too narrowly. So, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Before you close on your next deal, map out at least 1 or 2 alternative exit plans. The best investors aren't just lucky, they're prepared for anything. Remember, in real estate, flexibility is your superpower. Make multiple exit strategies a non-negotiable part of your process, and you'll turn challenges into opportunities every time. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today, we have Tomás Fonseca, co-founder and podcast expert at Icons of Real Estate, a global platform that empowers real estate professionals through podcasting, networking, and education. With a globetrotter's perspective and a wealth of marketing expertise, Tomás is known for connecting with high performers and drawing out powerful, actionable insights. He's played a key role in shaping the Icons of Real Estate podcast into a must-listen resource for agents eager to learn from the best in the business. Today, Tomás is here to demystify the podcasting launch process, share success stories, and show how podcasting can unlock new levels of credibility, influence, and opportunity for real estate pros everywhere. We are thrilled to have him on the show, so welcome, Tomás. How did I do? I feel like I butchered your name. I was so nervous saying your name.
You did well. You did it first time and all. I'm
I did like 10 takes.
No, first time this charm, doing well, and I'm very happy to be here, Jen. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You are like the man behind the scenes that helps people like me with podcasting, but you are also very gifted in pulling people out of their shells, putting them on podcasts, and turning them into fantastic guests. So we are going to be breaking down a lot of this mystification behind podcasting and how it can help specifically your real estate investment business. So, say your name for me. You say your full name just so it's at least once I have one good clip of properly pronunciating your name.
Tomás Fonseca.
Tomás Fonseca. All right. But a little less H on the Tomás. Tomás.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. So what inspired So what inspired you to champion podcasting as a growth tool specifically for real estate investors? Because there's a gazillion podcasts out there, but what inspired you to focus on this niche?
So you would call it maybe a selfish reason, but it was a selfish finding. So we were using actually podcasting to grow our own business. So we used to have an SEO agency that would help investors and real estate agents build our website, organic traffic, all about that. And the way that we're actually getting clients and building new relationships, it was through our podcast. It was like, oh, great. Like we can skip the cold LinkedIn messaging that no one ever reads, and the cold calling that no one really likes to be in it. And we have a way to target our high network individuals and have a little screen time with them and have their attention. So we decided to use this to grow our business, which we did. And up and coming with the growth of our agency, we're understanding like, wait a second, like we're getting more results with podcasts than we're getting with our SEO. And we said like, what if we try to apply this to the industry that we're working in, which is in real estate? And we had one trial for a year. We just had one podcast that we're producing almost as a pro bono. We're just trying out. And this was with a probate realtor in Beverly Hills. And it was obviously the volume of deals there is on another level, as you can imagine. And he was doing production around 20 million for the last 3 years. So 20 million, 20 million, 20 million. And it couldn't top that. He hit that ceiling and say, Tomás, I need something different. And that's where we brought the podcast, where we leverage the creation of relationships with potential referral partners. He closed 5 more deals. On average, those deals were worth $2 million to him, and he ended the year with $30 million. So we decided, okay, we're doing this. And a few years down the line, we're producing more than 60 podcasts all around the US and a little bit international. And yeah, we're promoting podcasts as a real vehicle for growth and not just a vanity thing.
Absolutely. And when I got into this industry, it was just a selfish act because I just wanted to talk to professionals in my industry, pick brains of people, and I get them for a solid hour. I get to promote them out to the world, but I get that one-on-one time, and I really enjoyed it, but it has definitely evolved into opening many doors for me. So just like a backup question, what is your involvement with real estate?
I just want to say that like it's good to note that me and Jen, we started out being selfish, but we're not selfish anymore, right, Jen?
We're not selfish
anymore. Okay, perfect. So when I started this, I was even talking with my partner, and he even asked me before we were kind of rambling on the idea. He asked me like, "What is your experience in podcasting?" I said 0. I don't even listen to podcasts. What's your experience in real estate? I said 0. I was like, perfect, let's do this. So I just had to kind of drive my charisma throughout that project. But amongst the many interviews that I imagine, Jan, you feel the same with, you have more than 250. I personally also interviewed a number surrounding that. Like I got so much knowledge coming from that people now, I don't have a real estate license. We have since
I don't either, by the way. I don't have the patience for that.
We have since ventured. So in Portugal, you don't need a real estate license to sign up with a brokerage. So we have since ventured a little bit on the creation of an international team, and we built an international team while we help them. And I have agents in India, South Africa, Spain, Portugal, and the US. But I've never sold a house in my life. and my real estate experience is more based on the marketing side of things.
Okay. The listeners are going to want to know, and I agree that's a great place to start because marketing is a huge part of real estate. So thank you for sharing all that. And I'd like to stay this first couple questions here on the actual podcast. So you said 50 podcasts. I produce one and it's exhausting, by the way. I do everything myself. So to you and your team, bless you for that. But what mistakes do you see people? They listen to podcasts, they're traveling on the bus, they're in their car, they're walking through the neighborhood, they got their earbuds in, and they think this is so easy, I could do a podcast. But what do you see is the biggest mistake people make when starting or launching, I guess we should call it, a podcast?
Lack of vision. So people usually start podcasting, and especially when our little friend COVID joined the party a few years ago, when everyone was at home, I was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to start a podcast with my friend. And that's okay to use it as a hobby. Now, there's a lot of people that they start a podcast as well for their business, even being there in real estate or not. And they just start a podcast because they don't have a vision attached to it. They don't have goals attached to it. And that's the reason that most podcasts fail. I don't know if you've ever shared this with your audience or not, but I think it's 10%, or no, it's 1% of the podcasts only reach 20 episodes.
Yep. So I knew that one. Yes.
Okay, perfect. I don't know which source you're going for. There might be different sources, but which means that my podcast and your podcast right now, like we're on the top 1% already.
Yep.
And it's people, they give up when they're on the third episode. And most think it's because they don't have commitment, but commitment is just a consequence of your belief. If you don't have a vision, you're not going anywhere, So that's the mistake that we've seen. We help people launch their own podcast even for the first time, even if they're, if they're camera shy, we give them the confidence. But we also sometimes pick up some podcasts that are kind of abandoned in the curb, and we give them light. And the reason was never about commitment. It was like, oh, I didn't know what to do with it. So vision is a very important part of it.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned video because I fought switching over to video for the longest time. And I was because I started back in COVID, and it was the authenticity of the fact that it's a podcast. And I'm like, I'm not a vodcaster, I'm a podcaster. And I had to put my big girl panties on and suck it up and start doing full video. And that means I got to put lipstick on every time now, which, anyway, I'm not a big... If I could stay at home in my sneakers and no makeup all day, I would be a happy girl. But anyway, when you're talking about vision, are you talking about the structure of the podcast? Or by vision, what do you mean by vision? They don't have a good vision.
So by vision is that a podcast is not going to be the Mardi Gras of your business, all right? So don't expect it to save it. But it's supposed to go in alignment with your business, right? And if it doesn't go on the same direction, like you're just wasting your time. So the vision here is like, what do you plan to get out of it? So we usually play the time period of like, okay, 12 months from now, what do you expect, for example, for investors? Like, how many deals do you expect to have brokered directly originated from the podcast? Because that's things that can happen. But then if you don't say like, okay, I want to broker 5 deals, if you don't say that, like you don't know if it's successful or not. And then you may get caught into the views, and then you think it's not getting enough views, or you think that it's also getting 10,000 views and you think it's being successful. But it's like, has it bring any business to you? Did it fulfill your goals? So that's why like we make the comparison of like, do you prefer a podcast that helps you close 10 deals and has 250 listeners every week, or a podcast that helps you close one t-shirt sale and has 15,000 listeners every week?
Right.
So it's about how strong is your ego against your wallet. So it is important to establish those goals.
I'm glad you said it that way. And I kind of want to get into the structure of things because I took a course before I started podcasting and learned as much as I could. And I know another mistake people make is record a podcast and then release it right away. Like it's super smart to have 10, even sometimes 25 episodes ready to go. Yes, have that backup, that rotation there, and have different structures. So I have badass format where I interview badasses like yourself. And then I also do ones on past projects where I feel my listener, which is a smaller pool, but they are a better quality pool where I could get bigger deals and better connections through them. I don't need to be out to the masses. I'd rather be very niche and be helpful to my avatar, that person who's driving to work Monday morning, cursing that they have to still work for the man and they want to turn their side hustle of real estate into a full-time job. So that's who I am speaking to directly. So let's do a quick little grading of what you heard in my intro. And because I have used the same intro song for all 5 seasons, and I've kept the same format as well. I do a badass rebestowment, and at the end of the show, I what makes Tomás, did I say it right? Tomás, a badass, and I use the acronym badass, and we'll get into that later, but I have kept that same structure. Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think that's hindering me? Do you think I'm like too old school?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. One thing that we do is we host a couple of masterminds as well, where we invite kind of industry experts that help podcasting get better. And we had this storytelling folk. His name is Robert Kennedy, if you want to look him up. And he came to us to teach a little bit of the art of storytelling in video. And he started he got up his chair. He had Eminem playing. He got up his chair and he said like, hey, okay, everybody clap. And I was like, this is a Zoom webinar. Like, what do you expect from this? But everyone was engaged and you could feel it. So I really like the tune detail, and I was engaged with it. So please keep at it.
Good. Thank you for that. So do you have any success stories of people that you work with that use podcasting to get, say, one of those much larger deals? Like, give us an example of people that you work with.
It'll be a little bit awkward if I said no, right? But like you, I'm going to say yes. So we had this happened in the beginning of the year, that one of our clients up in Nebraska, in the nice little town of Columbus. We're basically created a podcast for her. It goes by Real Moms, and it's also an acronym. Don't ask me what the acronym is, but it's basically promoting mompreneurs, how we like to call them, around Columbus, Nebraska. So, and it's helping Shay Spitz kind of build her authority and spread her real estate business as well. And our goal was to have her connect with other like-minded real estate professionals in the area that weren't quite in their inner expertise. So it was a little bit further away from our location. And the goal there was to get referrals. This is even before the podcast is launched, Jen. And this is the magic around podcasting. A guest that Shay had on the podcast, they got along so well that on the week after, Shay got a call from her about a referral. A referral was for a land development of 70 acres, and the developer is going to build 230 listings, the 230 doors there. So Shay is going to be the sole responsible, Shay and Shay's team, they're going to be the sole responsible of undertaking that development. So both brokering the deal of the land and then selling those 330 doors.
Wow.
The podcast was not even out, Jen. The podcast wasn't out. When the connection was made, of course, these deals, they then take time. And I was almost like always talking to her, "Do you close it? Can I share it? And I was like trying to keep me in the dark. But as soon as she said, oh yeah, I closed it, I was like, okay, perfect. So it works.
Wow.
So this is a success story to show the power of, creating relationships with people that are going to bring you not just laughter, as me and Jen are doing right now, some business as well. That's what we do this for.
So to break it down even further, if there's someone out there listening saying, hey, I really enjoy listening to podcasts and I would like this opportunity to create these connections by interviewing people or by being on a podcast, which we'll get to in a little bit here, but what type of equipment does one need to start? Because you mentioned one before that I don't use, but anyway, what type of equipment do you require people that you manage and produce their podcasts?
Yeah, so the equipment question for me is overrated in terms of no, it's just in terms of like the growth that you can have. Like you can start, it's usually nice to see like how people start with shitty video and
Yep.
then they're increasing over time because like, okay, this is working, so I'm gonna get like a better webcam, a better mic, a better plant, whatever, so it's
A better light up board.
I did improve. My other plant is dying, so I had to bring this one.
Rotation,
Not very good with that. Yeah, just plant rotation, which is crucial in podcasting.
Absolutely.
But so the equipment, don't let it be something that will prevent you from starting. Okay, even the most basic setup, and the most basic setup is even with your iPhone. Your iPhone can record 4K. Okay, the audio on the iPhone is better than some microphones 20 years ago. Okay.
Okay, and pause for a second because both the Samsung also records very well too.
No, I'm also a Samsung man. As we're talking with mainly the States, I know that they prefer the Steve Jobs there. But so the basic setup that you can do with the podcast, like you can start with that, and then it's all about having a nice stable background. Virtual backgrounds help if you're like running around from one place to the other. I usually use one for my own podcast as I might be recording from different countries all the time. But it's basic webcam, headphones, microphone with pretty much like less than $200. You can buy this equipment. Of course, if you want to go a little bit over, like my camera is 4K, is a little bit more expensive. The microphone, of course, as more professional as they get more expensive, but it's not, it can't be an objection for you to start a podcast. It's like, I don't have equipment. No, you do. It's right in your hands or right in your pocket or wherever you keep your phone.
Well, that was the perfect answer I was looking for because I coach students across the country. And when they finish a deal, I'm like, come on, let's discuss it as a past project. And they think, well, I don't have the equipment. So that was a perfect answer.
Yeah.
Anyone can get on a podcast. They can record a podcast. When I started back in the Stone Age, I did all my own editing, but there is software now where it literally does everything. I use Descript. But I record through Zoom. Yeah. I also have my Rodecaster Pro over here, which is my little sound machine. It makes laughter sound. So I could do sound effects and just extra things like that, but totally unnecessary. All this, the lights, everything. You just need really a laptop to be on a podcast that you can record your voice on there with a decent camera, because now most are video, and I had to suck it up. Yeah. But do you have anything else as far as being a podcaster? Like, how do people find guests? Let's do that, because it doesn't always have to be interviews, but what's a good way for them to find guests to be on podcasts?
So finding guests can be a very simple thing or one of the most hard things in a podcast. Okay. So it does depend on the guest avatar that you decide. And this goes in alignment with what I said in the beginning about the vision. Like, you need to understand what is your strategy, what is your topics, what's your launching strategy. And one of the part of the vision is also what's your guest avatar, right? So yes. As tighter as you make your guest avatar, the more difficult it can be. If you want to put up, for example, SEOs of the Fortune 500 companies, it's not going to be as easy as investors in the East Coast that have brokered 5 or more deals, right? So there's different approach levels to different people. Like, for example, we've had one of our clients that wanted to have Grant Cardone on the show. And I'm like, great, I'll call him right now. It's like, obviously, you have to go through certain levels until you speak to him. But actually, we were using a bit of persuasion and kind of promoting a little FOMO we had Elena Cardone come on the show. So Elena, she's Grant Cardone's wife, right? So I mean, sometimes you can't get the king, you get the queen, right? But it's not easy to get a lot of famous people out there if that's what you're expecting for your podcast, especially on a launching podcast. Even if your podcast is not even out there, people will be like, "You tell me that you have this podcast. Like, I googled it, I didn't find you, right?" So first, as you build authority, it will start getting easier to get guests. For example, for our own Icons of Real Estate podcast, and I even imagine to yours, Jen, we get submissions all the time. Like we get like
all the time.
4 or 5 submissions of people that want to come on the podcast. For people that you want to start off, you have the whole traditional means of email, call, hit them up on social media, comment something on their social media about your message to get their attention, and make it personal, like as much more personal approach as you can make it. Most people read their emails, okay? Most people read their emails. If they didn't reply to you, it's not because they're busy, it's because they don't care about you. So if people are not replying to your emails, it means that your email copy can improve, okay?
Good.
Or your email is flagged. I hope that's not the case. So we invite guests when we want specific guests. We've used all the scripts in the book in all the means of communication, and everything works ideally.
Well, this is a good segue into being a good guest on a podcast, because I'm going to tack on, I get 4 or 5 requests daily of people who are like managers and trying to book their clients on podcasts. Can I just share my biggest pet peeve? This drives me nuts. And this disappeared recently, like within the last 6 months. For the longest time, everything was nice and easy. I need to see a one sheet. I don't know if that's old school. I need like stop with the chat GPT BS. Like, oh, I listened to your latest episode. I was so moved by what Jim Connor said. I'm like, you did not listen to that episode.
You did not listen.
And that right there, when I see that in the first line, and just like you said, I stopped reading it. I didn't respond because I don't have the time to go through that. But when I see there's an attachment and there's a nice wordy email, I'm going straight to that attachment. I want to see if this guy's personality stands out. You had some great photos on yours. And I hate to be judgy that way, but I want someone who is going to be personable and that I can really tell by their one sheet. And if you don't know what a one sheet is literally one sheet of paper. It gives you an intro, something that spells it out. Here's a sample intro. It makes it so much easier for the podcaster. I don't want to read all that BS. That chat GPT generated stuff. It gives you bullets to talk about, things like that. So it's just like a very concise, and then it sparks the interest, and then I move forward. So, man, I just went off on a tangent. It's just been
no.
And
release
literally
your pet peeves.
Last 6 months, nobody's sending one sheets anymore. For the longest time, it was so easy. But anyway, I digress. So
I still get a few. So, but I understand maybe people got lazy in that. But I think you just kind of assist me a ball there, because one of the things that we help people on is with the creation of their one sheet. Right? Good. We actually make it.
I'm hugging you through the camera.
Really on the cheap here. Really on the cheap. And if you maybe Jen can put on the link in the description there. But if you go into iconsofrealestate.com/one sheet, you will find our page. It looked like we kind of rehearsed this part, but we didn't. Okay, this was all natural. I promise you. And no, I'm making it feel like it wasn't natural.
I do not climb through the camera and hug people very often, so I'm thrilled to hear this. And
anyway.
Well, I have pulled up right now on the computer, iconsofrealestate.com, but podcast framework. So this and you're giving it away for free, all this super valuable information, but this is 5 podcast frameworks to grow your real estate business, which is huge. And you talk about leveraging podcasting, building trust and relationships through podcasting, maximize leads, diversify your content for greater reach. That's a really important one. I'm not afraid to have guests on here where I know absolutely nothing about except cryptocurrency. I don't need any more of that. But like achieving long-term growth through consistency. Consistency is huge for podcasters. I release every Monday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but I just went off on a tangent because I love podcasting so much. And I love that there's someone like you who is doing this for people and setting them up properly, because a lot of people just wing it. So they go to iconsofrealestate.com / what'd you say, one sheet or one page? Because it's called the same. But
one sheet. So that's for the one sheet. And for the frameworks that you're talking about, it's basically a little giveaway, a little big giveaway. So that's 5 frameworks. So one is explaining our own icons framework. All right. It's not like we invented something. We basically made it better. Good. And that's how to use podcasts to grow your real estate business. Then the other one is how to be a good host. The other one is teaching you how to find guests for your podcast, which was a little of what I was discussing there. The other one is helping you how to launch your podcast. And the other one is helping you out to do the syndication of your podcast. So that's the more technical part of registration on all of the Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Amazon Music. So all of these 5 frameworks, they can be accessed on iconsofrealestate.com / podcast-framework. And it's, as you said, Jen, like we are on a mission to make podcasting accessible. We call ourselves being the #1 real estate podcast network, but it's not like we have a lot of competitors out there for us to beat them. Like we created this, it's pretty new in the real estate world, and we're basically rocking at it. Like we have more than 60 podcasts along our arms, and it's going pretty well. And we're getting results, not just rub our clients' ego, but actually put money in their pockets, right? That's the only thing that I'm interested in, is having a podcast help grow your business.
I love everything you just said, Tomás. So let's go just back for a second to that syndication portion, because I don't know, I have been doing it the same way for 5 years. I use Libsyn, for example, as to get all the podcatchers, and I upload the one RSS feed to that. But what a lot of people don't realize is there are so many moving parts in podcasting. You have to edit and use it. There's software that is very good for editing. And then there are ones where, you know, doing the graphics, like I still use Canva separate for that, but I use Libsyn to upload everything. Is there a one-stop shop these days anymore? I mean,
no, you need to work with a syndication platform, right?
Yes.
I think Libsyn, I don't want to put them down, but I think that's a little bit old school. sorry, Jen. We use Spotify for podcasters.
Really?
So Spotify bought Anchor. Maybe you remember Anchor FM. So Anchor FM used to be kind of the #1, and then Spotify bought that, and we use it because it's very simple to use. There is some technicalities. It look like you're doing a little bit of programming here and there, but as soon as you set up, then it will become easier, because you only need to post in one single website, in one single platform, and then all of the other platforms like Apple Podcast, Podbean, Pocket Cast, Google Podcast, they will pick it up, right? Yep. So for people out there that they think like, oh, these guys need to post the episode 20 times. No, like you only need to post 2 times, which is one in the syndication platform for all the podcast platforms, and then the other one is on YouTube. And
yes, you do have to do YouTube separately. So you upload and you do this through, you just said it, Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify for podcasters.
Oh, interesting, because I get stuff for them all the time. You are teaching me, so I appreciate that. All right, so sticking with being a podcast guest, like what are some tips for the listeners if they are going to guest on a podcast? And by the way, listeners, if you have a past project, it's a great way to pop that podcast cherry, because it's a very structured podcast, no surprises. Come on my podcast. I'd love to promote you. I love to hear about past projects, especially the bad ones, so the listeners hear about it. But what advice do you give to people on podcasts to be a truly unforgettable guest?
So besides you trying to attract people so you can pop their cherry, Jen, what I can recommend is really that, funny enough, guesting is more difficult than hosting. Okay.
Yes.
One thing that you're seeing here, guys, like Jen is a very interactive host. Even if you look at other hosts, even in real estate podcasts, they're much more kind of just
Robotic.
they're just robotic, and they're just reacting to the other person and not having a lot of initiative. Because I'm the one that is put on the spot. Jen is just having fun with it. So
Absolutely.
it's of course there's some skills to it, but you're put more on the spot on guesting. So the best way for you to prepare yourself for, the first one is always going to be the first. Don't worry about it. If you make a fool of yourself, it'll be a comedy in a few years' time. But it's you get experience. Up until the first podcast, you're probably going to prepare yourself for like 2 hours, and you're not gonna be able even to sleep the previous night. And then a few years down the line, someone who invites you to a podcast, oh, can you jump on in 5 minutes? And you said, okay, make it 3. So it's really something that you grow your confidence around. So I would just say, like, just go at it. Start with maybe a close related podcast. Doesn't necessarily need to be about your business, but it's usually like, if we're here on a podcast to talk about plants, and like I let my plants die, like I wouldn't be a good guest, right? I would have to go to ChatGPT and Google and plant.com or whatever to find all those answers. Like, but no, we're talking about like podcasting and marketing, which is something that it's within me. Like, we can talk about this for hours. Like, you're an investor, you're going to a podcast, talk about investor. Like, do you really need to study beforehand?
Right.
Like, you don't. Sometimes there's a little public speaking skills and confidence levels that you need to be at. But in terms of the core and the knowledge that you want to share, it's within you. You just have to be able to get it out there.
Yes, very well said. So, going a little step to the side here, I'm just curious because you are in Vietnam right now. It is 9 o'clock. Well, it's almost 10 o'clock my time AM, and it's the evening where you are. But I'm curious, what does international experience play in your approach to podcasting and even marketing for real estate professionals?
So yeah, I'm calling you from Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, and I've lived, as Jen said, my globetrotter lifestyle. I've lived in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. I've lived in Brazil. I'm originated from Portugal, and I've also lived in Budapest, Hungary, and Barcelona, Spain. So and all throughout these cities, I was podcasting. Okay, podcasting has allowed me to create relationships that not even a local event would create. Okay. And I was lucky enough to already kind of materialize some of those relationships into actual physical appearances when I go to invest in the US. And we get to meet these people that we met on podcasts, and we talk on Zoom every day. And it is coming to be like a good relationship. So, like, take it from me, like I'm always international, not pitbull style, always international, doing my business, and I'm able to grow, and I'm able to help other people grow. And I've allowed them to do the same. People that they thought that they're not going out of their bubble. And like in podcasting, is just giving you wings to get connections in. Oh, you want to invest in new developments in Mexico? Like go talk to them. Like they're eager to come to your podcast. Invite some developers for your podcast. You might be in for some deal right there. Right?
Absolutely.
So international in terms of podcasting is like, it gives you the power. There's no limits. I don't think there's podcasting in Mars as of now. You'd have to limit yourself for planet Earth. But I think it will satisfy your business needs.
I agree. You nailed it by getting out of your bubble, because investing across the world is so different. In just Mexico alone, it's like Mexico owns the land, but you own the house on the land. Like there's all different weird things. But it just makes you better at what you do as a real estate investor. So my last question for you is, and this is kind of a loaded one before we move to the second part of the podcast here, is, so what advice do you have to someone who really wants to stand out? Because this is a media driven world that we are in. And if it's not on your phone, if you're not watching it or listening to it, what advice do you have for someone to stand out in this media driven world?
So you know what a goldfish is, right?
Yes.
And they are known by their lack of attention and their
What?
dumbness. So I think it was since 2015, don't ask me how science do this. They do. I believe studies. Since 2015, the attention span of goldfish is now larger than the human attention span. And
What?
the future, yeah, I think it's a goldfish is 9 seconds and human is 8 seconds now. And the future that is turning to be is going, and for internet users, the attention span can even be turning to 3 or 4 seconds, which is like nothing.
Nothing.
So right now, you just have to kind of be okay with the fact that people don't give much crap even on the things that they're seeing. Sometimes like people are on their phone and they've been watching a reel for like 30 seconds and not even 2 minutes. 1 minute goes by that reel and they've watched 2 others. You ask like, oh, what was the reel that you watched three reels ago? They don't know. They don't know.
Oh my gosh.
It comes here, it goes there, out the back. I don't know. There's some hole that we're building. So I think it's important to be okay with the fact that it's going to be hard to hold people's attention, and we need to cherish when we do have that attention. So that's why like it's important that even if you only add a couple viewers, 50, 100, like if you try to fill your house with 100 people, I mean, maybe you're a freaking rich mogul and you have like a gigantic house and you can obviously fit 100 people there. Like you try to fit 100 people like in a room, it's like, well, it will blow up, right? It's relevant. So if those people are providing attention, like you should be thankful for it. In terms of actual tips on how to stand out, is really not trying to blend in. If you try to blend in, you'll be the same as anyone else, right? So don't be afraid of being genuine. I mean, if you don't have a good personality, I don't know, maybe quit. No, I'm kidding. But don't try to blend in. Be yourself, and you'll find like-minded people. You'll find your avatar. You just have to be committed and consistent with your message, and you'll find your tribe.
And I love how you brought up the whole real example, because you heard me bitching about one sheets, and I'm like, if I don't see it, I'm on to the next one, and it's that attention span right there. So Tomás, this was amazing. I want to move to the second part of the podcast, which is what makes you a badass, which clearly you are. I love that you're in this industry. And I use the acronym BADASS. I cannot spit this out right. The first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
So I've had plenty of books that made a difference in my life. One, if I have to look in the business perspective, one that really helped me with it would be $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi.
Okay.
I think he's pretty famous now. I think a few years ago it was still coming up, but he wrote the book to make it. It's not like business for dummies, but it teaches you how to create an offer that people will feel dumb saying no to.
I love that.
And you create the offer, and you'll have the confidence that like, if this guy says no, like he's just dumb. And if you act with that, and that's why I was kind of like even imposing my sales medium as well. Like I was just assuming that people are going to buy, because I mean, you're not dumb, are you? So it's this book really helped craft my business, and I recommend to anyone starting theirs. And this works even in all types of business. All right. Like he talks to every individual. So including real estate agents and investors as well.
That's a great mindset to have of, are you dumb to not take this deal? I love it. That's a great concept. All right. The first A in badass is for advice. You've given us amazing advice, but what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So that's from another book that I read. It's not as entertaining. So that's from Meditations from Marcus Aurelius. I found out that it was a lot more historical and scientific than I wanted. I just wanted to have some freaking quotes so I can say on the podcast. But one of the things that Marcus Aurelius shares, and I don't know the quote word by word, but he's basically like, only worry about what you can control
Right.
and worry not about the rest. The book is about stoicism as well. So I have a little stoic in me, and it's really about like people, they dwell so much, they have so many sleeping problems and tears and worries around things that are out of their control. Like, and I'm not talking about like supporting your sports team. Please support your sports team, believe in your traditions, cry when they lose, and drink yourself to death when they win. Okay. This is not about that. This is about like things happening that it's like, okay, is this in my control or
Right.
not? What can I do about it? Because if a problem has a solution, it's not a problem. There's a
Right.
solution. And if a problem doesn't have a solution, it is also not a problem. If there's no solution, like why bother? Right? So it's really like control, worry about what you can control and worry not about the rest.
And a step further from that is the people who think all the time, why has this happened to me? Why has this happened to me? When you can just do a quick little mindset shift and say, why is this happening for me? What lesson is this teaching me? So very nice. See, I like you even more. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
It's really just addicted to growth,
Yep.
which I have to say that is coming from a European. It's something that I cherish a lot in people in the US. I think people in the US, they have that charisma of like wanting more. I don't know if it's about the American dream or something like that, but they do want more. They're perfectionists and they want to grow and they want to have the best for their family. And even if it's about the flashy cars, what if it is, right? But it's just addicted to growth, growth, growth. In Europe, we like to smoke our cigarettes, drink beers by the beach and relax. And it is so often that I go to these events in the US and their mindset is so different. And I go to events in Europe and it's like 20 years behind, 20 years of mindset behind. It's unbelievable. So it's, for me, I've been blessed by having to deal with this market, to kind of the addiction to growth being a little bit of a, I got the bug now.
I love it. And do you think you will ever be like, are you one of those people who won't ever be happy until they hit
Oh
something?
no.
Okay.
I'm already happy.
Good.
I've already hit the top of my life right now, and
Good.
tomorrow will be another top. That's the only thing.
It's the growth that makes you happy. I love that. All
Yeah.
right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
A goal that I'm currently working on. Can I share a non-business goal?
Of course.
Okay, I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro by the end of the year.
Oh my goodness. How far is it from where you are right now?
Just Indian Ocean and a few kilometers of land, but it's a little bit far. I just
Okay.
have to fly down to Middle East and then come down.
Oh, I'm not
But
geographical
it's a
by any
bilbo.
means. I
It's
was
like
thinking it was
that
near
way.
where you were.
It's
But
oh,
that's
it's
a
not.
good
It's
one.
not. So Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain in Africa. I'm in
Af-
Southeast Asia, but it's been a goal for a while, and I think this year is the year.
I sounded like a total dumbass. And my husband is like a geographic nut. And so he is just
I
going
hope he's
to,
not listening.
his eyes are going to
And
roll out of his head for that dumbass statement I just made. So I love that. And I call it a bucket list. And one of mine, I want to go up to Canada and to go walk around Lake Louise. So that is absolutely a goal of mine to hike that area. And I think that is a great goal to have. And you know what? People who are in this industry, you need to have goals outside of, I want to make $20,000 a month. Blah, 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 blah. So good job.
Yeah.
All right. The first S in badass is for systems. I'm sure you have many systems in place if you are producing 50 podcasts. So what systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
So before I wasn't a systems guy, I was just showing my face and making jokes and all of that. But then our system guy stopped working for us and okay, let me see some YouTube videos and I'll take over. And ever since I've gotten some pleasure on learning. So I want to share like go high level. It's probably
Good.
very already, yeah, probably most of you listening are already acquainted, but it's basically it's almost an open source of a CRM because like you can control of what you can do and you can do a lot of things. So I've just been busy with also setting up all the automations in terms of emails and actions and tasks and all that. So it's very important that you have that and don't rely on Excel spreadsheets. The other software that we're using, it's actually one that we're building and it's called the Hub. It's basically a platform that we're going to have that I was even going to invite you to be a part of it, Jen, as well. We're going to have it as a marketplace for hosts and guests, and where
Awesome.
hosts can find potential guests and where guests can find potential podcasts to be a part of. So this is currently in the coding mode, being released out in the next few weeks. Maybe by the time this episode is out there, it would already be. But it's called the Hub. If you go to our website, you can already see some information about it. So it's
How exciting.
sometimes you have all the systems at hand that you can use. When there's not a system out there for you, create one.
Yes.
Right? Be bold.
Absolutely. That is amazing. And there really isn't anything like that. Like I said, podcasting is so pieced together across different forms of technology, anyway, it's just all over the place. And as far as organizing, so this is wonderful. That is great news. So I could talk to you all day and we have gone like, this is longer than normal, but the final S in badass is success. What does success, let me see if I can say the name properly. What does success mean to Tomás Fonseca?
Fonseca, yeah.
Fonseca. All right. So what does success mean to you?
It means doing what I love with the people that I love. So it's living the best of the ability that I can throughout my life, helping as many people as I can along the way. I believe that I'm already succeeding at that and I will keep succeeding. And it might look in a way that will be very, very, very rich or just medium rich, at least medium rich. But it's the number one thing is like being happy and doing what I love, and everything else, it doesn't really matter that much, right? Just a means to an end. So that's what success feels like to me. So I'm successful here right now talking to you.
And climbing mountains. I see that in your near future.
Climbing mountains, I do have a thing for that.
And a nugget for the listeners out there. Make sure you can say your guest's name properly and quit screwing it up like I did this whole episode. So this has been such a great interview and a little off the beaten path, but so good for my listeners who really need to break out and start using this as a marketing tool for their business. And one more time, how do the listeners find you?
So you can go to Icons of Real Estate. You can just search that on Google. We have pretty good SEO ourselves, and you'll find our website. If you don't want to surf the web, you can go directly to my email. Yes, I check my emails. If I don't reply to your email, you're not good at writing emails, okay? But it's at Tomas@iconsofrealestate.com, and you can shoot me an email. I will see it. I don't promise to reply, but I will see it. So if you want to find out more information about what we do as well, just drop me an email. We can set up a chat.
And definitely go check out this iconsofrealestate.com/podcast-framework to download these 5 podcast frameworks to grow. And it's free, y'all. So check it out. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Jen. It was a blast.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.